All right, we need to talk about silver right now, because what you're seeing on the price charts, that historic break above $60, the wild swings, the headlines about a supply squeeze, that's just the surface tremor. Something far bigger is happening beneath the digital ground we're all standing on. For decades, silver's story was about jewelry, coins, and a volatile cousin to gold. Not anymore. A new, relentless, and insatiable consumer has entered the arena, and it doesn't care about inflation hedges or monetary policy. It only cares about processing power, speed, and efficiency. I'm talking about the artificial intelligence revolution, and I am going to show you why AI isn't just another demand driver for silver. It is turning this ancient metal into the most critical secret ingredient of the 21st century digital economy. This isn't just an investment trend, it's a fundamental material science reality that's about to collide with a supply chain that is already stretched to its limit. Let me paint the picture with some cold, hard data. According to a landmark report released just days ago by the Silver Institute and Oxford Economics, silver is now being redefined as a next-generation metal. The report explicitly names data centers and artificial intelligence as one of the three key sectors, alongside solar power and electric vehicles, that will drive industrial demand higher through 2030. Why? Because the physical infrastructure of AI is hungry, ravenously hungry. The report estimates that global information technology power capacity has exploded from 0.93 gigawatts in the year 2000 to nearly 50 gigawatts in 2025. Let that sink in. A 5,252% increase in the power needed to run our digital world. That isn't just more electricity bills, that's more servers, more chips, more miles of circuitry and cooling systems, all of which depend on a metal with unique properties. This brings us to the core question. What makes silver so irreplaceable for AI? It boils down to two words: conductivity and reliability. First, electrical conductivity. Silver is the undisputed champion of the periodic table, with the highest electrical conductivity of any metal. In the dense, high-frequency world of AI processors where billions of calculations happen per second, even a tiny loss of signal integrity is catastrophic. Silver, conducting electricity about 5.7% better than copper, is the premium choice for the most critical pathways inside these chips. Second, thermal conductivity. AI processors don't just think, they burn. They generate heat on a scale that dwarfs traditional computing. Silver also happens to have the highest thermal conductivity of any metal. It's the ultimate heat sink. This is why silver nanoparticles are now engineered into advanced thermal interface materials, dramatically improving heat transfer from a blazing hot GPU to its cooling system. Without silver, these AI systems would simply melt under their own computational weight. So how much silver are we talking about? Let's get specific. This isn't vague speculation. The AI server, a standard enterprise server motherboard, already uses 205 grams of silver in its traces and connectors. But we're not talking about standard servers, we're talking about AI accelerators. The AI GPU. High-end GPUs, like NVIDIA's H100 and H200 designed specifically for AI workloads, incorporate between 3 to 8 grams of silver just in their substrate and interconnects, with another 2 to 3 grams in packaging and thermal interfaces. That's potentially 5-11 grams of silver per processor. The 5G backbone, and it doesn't stop at the data center. The 5G networks that connect everything to the AI cloud are also silver-heavy. A single 5G base station can contain 50 to 100 grams of silver in its antenna arrays, RF filters, and connectors. Now, do the math. Companies like NVIDIA are shipping these GPUs by the hundreds of thousands. Data center operators are building facilities that house tens of thousands of these servers. Telecommunications giants are deploying millions of 5G nodes globally. The scale is almost incomprehensible, and every single unit has a non-negotiable gram of silver baked into its core. This brings me to the 4 key indicators I am tracking to gauge just how fast this AI-driven demand is accelerating. These are the real-world signals that will tell us if we're looking at a steady climb or a parabolic shortage. Indicator 1, global IT power capacity additions. This is the macro pulse. The Silver Institute report gave us the baseline, $50 of IT power capacity in 2025. I am watching for projections from firms like the International Energy Agency on how fast this number races toward 75 or 100 GW. Every major upward revision is a direct order for more silver-intensive hardware. Indicator 2, AI-specific semiconductor shipment volumes. We need to move beyond general chip sales. I'm tracking the quarterly shipment numbers for AI accelerators from NVIDIA, AMD, and custom silicon makers like Google and Amazon. When these numbers consistently beat forecasts, the downstream silver demand is locked in. The market research firm TrendForce or official corporate earnings reports are my go-to sources here. Indicator 3, 5G base station deployment pace, the edge of the AI network. I'm monitoring the rollout announcements from major carriers in the US, China, and Europe. Are they accelerating their build-out schedules? Every new deployment target for hundreds of thousands of base stations translates directly into tons of silver demand for connectors and antennas. Reports from the GSM Association are crucial for this. Indicator 4, silver load per chip. This is the stealth multiplier. As AI chips become more powerful and dense, their silver content isn't shrinking, it's increasing. Again, I'm looking for any technical papers or industry leaks, like the ones we saw detailing the H100's 3-8 grams, that indicate the next generation of processors will use even more silver per unit to handle higher power and thermal loads. A jump from an average of 5 grams to 7 grams per GPU would be a 40% demand increase on a per unit basis. When I layer this explosive demand on top of the existing supply landscape, the picture becomes critical. The silver market has already been in a structural deficit for years, with the 2025 shortfall projected to be enormous. Mine production is essentially flat. And now AI isn't asking for a slice of the pie, it's building a whole new, much larger pie and demanding the key ingredient. This is what veteran Wall Street strategist Ed Yardeni meant when he recently said, "Silver's rally can't be understood without acknowledging its growing importance to the AI economy, and that the metal has effectively become another AI play." This isn't a fringe theory, it's entering the mainstream financial dialogue because the data is undeniable. So, what happens next? Based on the collision of this new demand with a tight supply base, I see 3 potential scenarios unfolding over the next 12-18 months. Scenario 1, the accelerated adoption path. My base case, 50% probability. AI adoption continues at its current breakneck speed. Data center builds accelerate, GPU shipments meet lofty targets, and 5G rollouts proceed as planned. Scenario 2, the hypergrowth shortage, 30% probability. AI adoption exceeds even the most optimistic forecasts. A breakthrough application sends demand for compute power into hyperdrive. Chipmakers can't build factories fast enough, and every component in the supply chain is bottlenecked, including silver. In this scenario, the physical metal squeeze becomes acute. The COMEX registered inventory situation we've discussed in other videos would be exacerbated by industrial buyers seeking to secure long-term physical supply. This could trigger a short, sharp parabolic move where prices explore territory far beyond current models, potentially north of $100, as the market price is in a permanent scarcity premium for the AI metal. Scenario 3, the technological pivot or slowdown, 20% probability. Progress hits a temporary wall. Maybe AI adoption slows due to regulatory hurdles, a lack of killer apps, or an economic downturn that curbs tech spending. Alternatively, material scientists pull off a miracle and find a way to significantly reduce or substitute silver in some key applications, though this is extremely difficult given its innate properties. In this scenario, the AI demand story takes a pause. Silver prices would likely correct sharply, falling back to be driven primarily by its other fundamentals, like monetary demand and solar power. The warning sign here would be consecutive quarters of declining AI accelerator shipments, or a sudden drop in data center capital expenditure forecasts. The bottom line is this: silver's role in the world has fundamentally changed. It is no longer just a precious metal. It is a critical industrial material for the defining technological shift of our generation. The AI boom is not a virtual phenomenon. It is a physical one, built on a foundation of silicon, copper, and most critically, silver. When you look at the price chart shaking today, you're not just looking at traders speculating. You're seeing the early, volatile signals of a massive, decade-long reallocation of a finite resource into the infrastructure of the future.